What is up, you beautiful people out there on the internet? It is I, Michael Stockman, here with our last episode of the first season of D&D 5e Simplified, and the second episode in our coverage of the Halfcaster classes here on the DM Shockman Institute. I really appreciate you guys joining us for these, and I really appreciate the likes and shares and, subscribes that we've been getting. Thank you so much. Um, we're in today's video. We're going to be covering the Ranger, which is pretty awesome. Pardon the low thing of my voice. It is very early in the morning, and I do have people sleeping in my house, so I'm trying to be kind of considerate of them. But today, on today's episode, we're going to be covering the Ranger. As a full little warning here, the Ranger, my opinion of the Ranger is not nearly as good as it was in previous editions, so bear with me if I seem a little biased, but I'm going to try and give it as an objective look as possible. So thank you so much. Really quick before we dive into things, if you could do me two really quick favors, it'll just take a second. First, please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out immensely with the algorithm here on YouTube. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Secondly, please be sure to leave a comment down below in the doobly-doo telling me what kind of ranger do you like to play? Do you like to play a hunter, being a Colossus Slayer or a Horde Breaker? Are you more of a Beastmaster, or are you an edgy boy and a Gloomstalker? Let me know down below. With that out of the way, folks, we're going to dive into today's final episode of Season 1 of the D&D 5e Simplified with the Ranger. So here we go. Okay, so I'm reading this off, so you'll have to bear with me. The Ranger, first off, gets a D10 to their hit die. They also get, when they level up, they get a standard of 6 or a D10 plus their Constitution modifier of hit points at higher levels. They get access to light armor, medium armor, and shields as their armor proficiencies. They get access to all weapons, including all martial weapons and all simple weapons. They get no tool proficiencies. And their saving throws are dexterity and strength. Additionally, they get to choose from 2 skill proficiencies, those being three skill proficiencies from either animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, or survival. And they get a whole bunch of other stuff, including favorite enemy, which is, I'm just going to kind of gloss over their special features because there have been so many other things that have been done with the Ranger class after the initial PHP was released, whether it be in the errata or the Unearthed Arcana or what have you, that this really is going to be one of the shorter videos. Suffice to say that in the PHP, you had your favorite enemy, which you basically got advantage when tracking, but you didn't get advantage on damage or bonus damage to it, which is stupid. You got Natural Explorer, which allowed you to do a number of things, including on your favored terrain. You got to choose from a specific type of favorite terrain, and when you were on that favorite terrain, you got it did not slow our group's travel. Your group can't be lost except by magical means. Even when you are engaged in other activity while traveling, such as foraging, navigating, or tracking, you remain alert to danger. Really just kind of in concept it was a good idea, but in execution not so much. But that's about all I'm going to cover for the main things for the Ranger, the main starting portion. Now we're going to jump into the 2 main subclasses in the PHP, those being the first one being the Hunter. So check that out right up here, and we will see you guys in just a minute. So see you then. Got it? Good. Okay, so the Hunter is very much the Legolas, the Legolas of the Ranger category. It's very much the person who, whether being in melee or being in at ranged is meant to be an archer. They kind of do a little bit of tracking, but mostly they're all about damage. There are three specific things which you can check out in the screenshot that is showing right now, where you'll be able to choose from either Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, or Horde Breaker. Horde Breaker is great for doing damage to lots of different little enemies. Colossus Slayer is kind of good for doing things to larger enemies, and Giant Killer is kind of the same thing as Colossus Slayer, but it's basically it gives you advantage on attacks rather than on damage. So, from what I understand, would highly recommend playing a hunter if you are into being like a Legolas or an original form of Sylvanas Windrunner, or maybe if you're playing like in a fantasy sci-fi kind of game, playing the Predator from that famous sci-fi thing. Would highly recommend it. I really enjoy the Hunter. I've played them a couple of times. I've had lots of players in my games play Hunters. Really highly recommend them. Of the original PHP options, it's the one I would recommend. This leads us into the second and much maligned PHP offering of subclasses, that being the Beastmaster. So check it out, and we'll be right back in just a minute. See you then. Got it? Good. So I'm only going to cover the Beastmaster really quick. The idea of the Beastmaster is that you gain affinity and friendship with an animal companion, and that in theory they would be able to be kind of like an NPC that you have that can take turns and can do all this different stuff for you, and can be a creature who aids you in battle, right? Well, with the rules as written in the PHB, the Beastmaster is one of the most broken and stupidly implemented subclasses in the entire game. I say that because the Beastmaster, when you're being the Beastmaster, you either get to take your own turn as a ranger, or you can take a turn as your beast companion. You can't do both. You can't attack. Ideally, what would have been done and was later changed to in the Unearthed Arcana was that you can attack with your bonus action as your beast companion, or you can set your beast companion to basically do a specific action, whether that be fend off guys coming in or what have you. And it would just follow that but in the standard rules as written, it's not that way. I'm not going to go too much more into this. Suffice to say that the ranger was never meant to be a beastmaster. In 3.5, for example, the druid was a beastmaster. They didn't have wild shape back in the day like they do in 5th edition. They had beast companions, and you could make animals your companions. Rangers were always meant to be more of like the Tolkien kind of ranger, not so much the kind of the way that they did it here. And as such, it was a great idea in concept, but not well executed at all, at least until the Unearthed Arcana came through. So check out the Unearthed Arcana. You can find it on D&D Beyond. I think you can also find it on a couple of other places. Just Google it. You can find it there. Anyway, that about covers our things of the subclasses. We're now going to move into the last section of the Ranger, that being the summary. The summary is this. What I would recommend, I can highly recommend the Ranger if you want to play kind of a how best to put it, a woodsman, kind of like whether it be a Legolas or an Aragorn or something like that. But keep in mind that as it is written in the PHB, the Ranger is one of the most underpowered classes ever, and as such, I think a lot of people recognize that it is also one of the most gimped classes in the entire game in the PHP as written. Therefore, not a lot of people played it. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think that the Ranger was far better done in 4th edition than it was in 5th edition, at least at start. Now, that being said, with the later supplements like Xanathar's Guide to Everything, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, all that different stuff, the Ranger definitely got a new lease on life, and I would highly recommend it. It actually went from being one of the most underpowered classes to be one of the most broken classes, like overpowered classes. And so it's kind of got this continual struggle with balance and with being um, either being way crappy or being way too cool so that everybody wants to play it, and not really fitting into that kind of balanced state of it's got good and bad, and it's in a good place of harmony, and it hasn't quite found that footing yet. I would really welcome the chance to see a Ranger rewrite completely, and just making it maybe more akin to like the Ranger from 3.5. And honestly, I would be interested to find out if there was a Ranger like class in like Pathfinder that they could use as a template. I don't know. Who knows? Um, anyway, guys, as the kind of last section of things, for the difficulty and complexity rating, I would honestly have to say that because as rules is written, the the ranger is probably, as a hunter, is probably one of the easiest classes to play, subclasses to play. That being probably around a high beginner to maybe like a mid beginner to a high uh, intermediate. But with the Beastmaster, I'm not even going to give that a complexity because I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because it's just dumb the way it's written. Sorry, I know that's not. I love you, Watsy, but you've gotten this feedback before, and this is just me putting my 2 cents in. This is my opinion. Do with as you will. Um, but yeah, guys, that about covers the Ranger for today, and that finishes off. This is going to finish off season 1 of our D&D 5e simplified. I am going to take probably about a week off to kind of build up some other things for the next season before I start releasing them. So be sure to tune in and look out for episode 1 of season 2. Let's say on the I would say probably on the 26th, let's just say on the first Friday of May, that being probably the 6th of May. We will come back with season 2, where we will be covering the different races in the PHB. That one's going to be a little bit shorter as there are not as many races to be done, but then I'm going to do basically the same thing and cover the races. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. Please do me a really quick favor before we sign off. Please follow the links down in the description. You know what they do, you know where they go, you know what to do. I'm Michael Schrockman. I've been your host and commentator. And until next time, guys, remember as always, keep it real, keep it safe, keep it healthy. And we'll see you guys again soon in the Institute. Bye bye, guys.